Mad Max Grabelski was trying his best to ease the concerns of literally all the kids in the world, who were too afraid to go on their weekly camping trip because of urban legends surrounding a teenage boy being led by an entity known as the Trickster, as the two went around killing people and cutting their feet off as a trophy. Now for the last time, there is no such thing as the Trickster! But if it'll make you feel any better, I'll go out in the woods and look for him, alright? Grabelski offered, as he ventured into the woods in search of the Trickster. Oh, Mr. Trickster! Come out and play! Heh, like I said, there's no such thing! Grabelski chuckled to himself until he heard an argument deeper in the woods. You weren't supposed to actually kill him! It's one thing when you kill someone in the game, but this is real life! A teenage boy shouted at a taller, gothy-looking man with long fingernails and a nose piercing. Real, unreal, what's the difference, so long as you don't get caught? The being spoke. There's a big difference! The two got into a heated argument until suddenly, the Trickster's mouth stretched open and he swallowed a teenager alive. Max Grabelski screamed in fear, which caught the Trickster's attention. Ah, allow me to introduce myself. I am the Trickster. Wanna play? I dare you. Max Grabelski had no words. He laughed out in fear. However, Max quickly gathered up the courage to fight off this menace. Alright, listen here! You're gonna leave these woods and my kids alone! In response, the Trickster roared like a lion, freaking out Max even further. Oh, mother! I have to say, this is a pretty obvious victory for the Trickster. Think about it. What does Max Grabelski even really have going for him here? I think the best feat he has is in the movie where he falls from the upper floor of a house. That's it. Aside from that, he's basically a normal man physically. Compare this to the Trickster, who can electrocute himself, stab himself in the eyes, break his own fingers, and eat Michael whole. He's going to completely physically dominate Grabelski. That's not even getting into the Trickster's abilities. The Trickster can teleport at a moment's notice, and even disappear from sight. He can regenerate from broken fingers, and even if you get a hold of his organs, they can come to life and grab his attacker. So even if Max gets lucky enough to hurt the Trickster, he won't be leaving any long-lasting injuries on him. Now let's look at intelligence. Max Grabelski is no smarter than Daniel Stern's previous role, Marv. His shenanigans got him roped up in a money laundering scheme, where he was forced to become a scoutmaster, and when he did do some scout leading, he made a ton of idiotic mistakes. He drank bug spray because he didn't know how it worked, playboxed a baby cub when a full-sized bear was nearby, and let the kids climb on his back to get across a gap in the canyon, without considering how he would get across. Compare this to the Trickster, who's intelligent enough to constantly manipulate Michael into killing people. Hell, he even plays mind games with Michael, able to make him think he's done something, only to turn around and say, "You did nothing of the sort." He could easily play these games on someone as dim-witted as Max Grabelski, and mix that with the Trickster's superior abilities and physical stature, I can't see any reason why Max should win this. Game over. You lose. I have to disagree with you, Max. I think you severely underestimate Grabelski's skill here. Yes, he was tricked into a money laundering scheme, but look at what happened next. He evaded police capture, took a man's identity, and when he realized he was suddenly a scoutmaster, he rolled with it. Not only eventually making his way to Devil's Peak, but arresting the guy who got him in this money laundering scheme to begin with. When Grabelski's metal is tested, he's actually pretty skilled. You play up Max Grabelski like he's a complete idiot, but as I said, he's actually competent. And if you think about it, actually has some manipulation skills. He was able to trick all of the kids and their parents into thinking he was a scoutmaster after all. Max has a gun, so he's not going to give the Trickster a chance to get near him. Instead, he'll just shoot the Trickster from afar. But even if the Trickster did get in close, Grabelski is way stronger than him. In the movie, he falls from a window and gets back up just fine, gets a rock smashed into his head, and is able to lift a kid with just one arm. The Trickster only ever harms himself, but Max Grabelski tackled the main villain to the floor and knocked his teeth out. You make it out to seem like the Trickster's unstoppable, but he really isn't. Sure, he regenerated from broken fingers and was fine when Michael stabbed his eyes and fused with him, But the oddity of that scene eventually leads to the big twist. At the end of the film, it's revealed that the entire thing was just a video game Michael was playing, and the Trickster is nothing more than a video game character. He wasn't supposed to be real! And he wasn't! So really, Max Grabelski just needs to break the Brainscan disc and call it a day. Even if the Trickster were somehow real, who's to say a good shot to the head wouldn't stop him? In the end, Max Grabelski is gonna walk out of this victorious, and that's the way Daddy likes it. Awooga! A fair argument, Max, but your theory is flawed. If the Trickster really never existed, why does he show up at the end when Michael hands his principal Brainscan? He clearly can enter the real world, and making Michael think everything was a game could actually just be another one of his tricks. Plus, at the end, we see that a dog has found the foot that Michael cut off in the video game, now in the real world. The Trickster is real! Come on now, Max. Out of all your arguments, don't you have anything good? I mean, your arguments make no sense. Before you tell me that it doesn't have to make sense, I'll remind you that we need logic if we're ever to come to a conclusion on this match. You say Max is more intelligent than I think by explaining that he managed to stop the bad guy in the end. But need I remind you that he had to get saved by that one kid jumping off a cliff? The kid saved his ass multiple times in the film. Max bumbled his way through the entire movie to get to that point. He wasn't being smart, just lucky. Hell, a ragtag group of Boy Scouts and one Girl Scout tricked him into drinking knockout pills. They're more competent than him, and not to mention, more fearless, whereas Max Grabelski often showed to be a coward. The Trickster still has abilities like teleportation and invisibility that'll make him all but impossible to actually shoot, and I doubt Grabelski could catch him. As for shooting the Trickster in the head, I'm pretty sure his regeneration covers that. He was stabbed through the eyes twice, and survived Michael ramming his fist into his stomach. I think he can handle a bullet. You see, even if Max were as competent as you say, he wouldn't be able to handle someone like the Trickster, who has supernatural powers that you can't find anywhere in the wilderness. You wanted a fair opponent for Mad Max Grabelski, but what you got was the Trickster. I understand where you're coming from, saying the Trickster is indeed real. But even if he is real, keep in mind that throughout the film he does almost nothing besides torment Michael. All the killings are Michael's doing, and the Trickster just eggs him on. Max Grabelski actually gets into fights, as shown when he tackled the main villain to the floor and kicked his ass. The Trickster hasn't really shown to use his abilities offensively. The only fight he gets into is with Michael, but I use the term fight loosely, because actually they just fuse into one being. Plus there's this little factoid. Originally, Bushwhacked was meant to be a spin-off of Home Alone, and Max was supposed to be Marv. What does this tell us? Well, besides the fact that I think more people would have liked Bushwhacked if that happened, I think this means Max is Marv, and has his durability, in which case the Trickster really can't hurt him. Marv survives being roasted into a skeleton, getting bricked in the head, and getting stabbed in the foot. These feats are even higher than Grabelski surviving all the kids assaulting him at the end of the movie. So even if the Trickster is real, and has powers, he hasn't shown the strength necessary to put Marv, or Max, down. Then, given the Trickster's lack of fighting experience, I have to conclude that Grabelski eventually catches the Trickster and knocks his prickled teeth out. I mean, come on! The kid from Bushwhacked said it best in regards to Max.
The man's a god.
The man is a god! Also, you say Max is a coward, but by the end of the film, he puts his life on the line to save all the kids. He demonstrated the kind of courage, values, and honor that are the cornerstones of the Ranger Scouts. Can the Trickster boast of such accomplishments? No. He can only boast that he tricked John Connor into killing people, which isn't as impressive when later Terminator movies decided to make him the bad guy or whatever the hell went on in those movies. What can I get you, bro? 2 packs of better feats, some Bushwhacked fever, and a Jumbo Coke. Well, that's our first debate, but it's getting late now, so let's set up camp and wait for the next part. That's right, Max. Don't forget to check out me and Ducko's Patreon and Ko-fi pages, if you're so inclined. Anyways, bye.